You can run, but you can't hide from these bullets of the future. It sounds like science fiction, but we're getting close to making bullets smarter. Bullets that can lock onto their targets, steer themselves, and never ever miss. Have we created the ultimate bullet? Bullets come in all shapes and sizes, designed to wound or kill. The science of ballistics has transformed the humble musket ball of over 400 years ago into the Ranger Talon, a bullet that rips its target to pieces. And the guns have also evolved, from the musket to a .50 caliber sniper's rifle. A bullet impact so powerful that a single shot can punch through an armored car. In fact, this electronic gun may be like nothing you've ever seen before. It punches out 1 million bullets a minute. Over generations, bullets have altered the face of history. Changed the way we wage war, and shaped the world we live in today. Scientists are now working towards producing a bullet that never misses, a bullet that steers itself in flight towards its target. Right now, it's still a futuristic dream, but it's getting close. We have to ask, could this be the ultimate bullet? Ballistics is the science of the motion, flight, and impact of a projectile or bullet. To study a bullet in flight, the images must be slowed down. A specialist slow-motion camera captures these incredible images of bullets traveling at the speed of sound. This is a gunshot slowed down over 800 times. A bullet leaving the barrel travels so fast that it squeezes the air directly in front of it and pushes it to the sides, creating a circular shockwave. The bullet is now on its way. Each round of ammunition has 2 main parts, the case and the bullet. The bullet is made of a soft lead core covered in a copper or steel coating. The case holds the explosive charge. Firing the gun sets off an unstoppable chain of events. The firing pin hits the casing. The charge inside burns and explodes. Expanding gases force the bullet out of the casing and down the barrel. But it's taken over 400 years for the bullet to reach this level of sophistication. To uncover the ultimate bullet, you have to begin with the early ones. The history of bullets is bound to the guns that fire them. Early bullets were simply balls of lead shot from primitive guns. As late as 1776, guns were basically still small hand cannons. The gunpowder and ball were loaded into the front of the barrel, just like a cannon. Awkward to load and difficult to use. Early muskets used massive lead balls that are huge by modern standards, up to 3/4 of an inch in diameter. A really big problem? Accuracy. At more than 100 yards, even the best marksman had trouble hitting a man-sized target with a bullet shot from a smooth-barreled musket. Firearms instructor at Texas Police Academy, Cullen Grissom, explains.
The disadvantage of a smoothbore musket is the unpredictability. It's not stabilized in flight. To some extent, it's the equivalent of throwing rocks.
No ball fits the smooth tube perfectly. It bumps and bounces around as it hurtles through the barrel. By the time it emerges, its flight path is unstable and inaccurate. Gunsmiths discovered the key to making bullets fly straight hundreds of years ago. Residue from the explosions clogged up the guns, so gunmakers cut grooves inside the barrels to collect the soot and keep the guns from clogging and blowing up. That had an unexpected side effect. To their amazement, gunsmiths found that the grooves hugely improved the accuracy of the guns. These spiraled grooves inside the barrel became known as rifling. They force the bullet to spin as it travels down the barrel, and a spinning bullet flies straighter and hits more targets. We need 2 players and a football to demonstrate how spin makes a projectile more stable. When he doesn't spin the ball, the quarterback's throw is off target. But using the laces to spin the ball in flight, his throw accurately finds its receiver. The force at work when a ball or a bullet spins is called gyroscopic stability. Think of a child's spinning top. The gyroscopic effect forces it to remain stable as it spins on its axis. The same is true for a bullet. The faster it spins, the more stable it becomes. That's because a spinning bullet can better resist forces trying to knock it off its path. With grooves in the barrel, the rifle followed the musket, firing accurately over much longer distances. Among the earliest was the Kentucky rifle, accurate to 200 yards, but still taking about a minute to reload. At the end of the 19th century came the Springfield breech-loading rifle, with twice that rate of fire, and accurate enough to slam 6 bullets into a 2-foot square target 100 yards away. But its speed was still no match for the Native Americans, who could shoot 12 arrows in a minute. The U.S. military gained some ground with Samuel Colt's invention of the Colt revolver, a reliable handgun firing bullets at what was then a phenomenal rate, as fast as 6 shots in just 6 seconds. The Colt answered the rapid-fire question, but only for close-quarter combat. As well as the Colt, the Winchester repeating rifle, gradually introduced from 1860, finally gave the military the edge. The Winchester rifle was accurate to 200 yards and could fire 9 bullets without reloading. The Colt and the Winchester were so effective that they were dubbed the guns that won the West. Guns were developing fast, but bullet technology was changing too. Invented in 1883, a totally new type of bullet, made of lead, but now partially covered in a copper jacket. They were known as full metal jackets. The copper was much harder, and so held its shape better when exposed to the ferocious heat inside the barrel. You could use a more powerful charge, giving faster speeds and better accuracy. The bullet had come of age, essentially the same basic design as exists today. Things were moving fast. In just over 300 years, ballistics developed from a musket firing 3 shots a minute with a range of 100 yards to the Maxim machine gun, 600 bullets a minute with an effective range of half a mile. In the 20th century, this technology proved itself in the deadliest conflicts of our time. But rate of fire is only part of the story. There are a bewildering number of different types and sizes of bullets. And when you're face to face with a dangerous enemy, what really matters is making sure that they can't shoot back. Your choice of ammunition might mean the difference between life and death. So what is the best bullet to stop the target dead in their tracks? The most effective bullet is a bullet that stops the target in just one shot. But there are circumstances when it's better to wound the enemy rather than kill them. That's the view of wound ballistics expert Dr. Martin Fackler.
From a military environment, one of the theories is that wounding is better than killing the enemy. Because if you wound the enemy, then he must be hauled off the battlefield, and a person who's got his hands full of stretcher can't be shooting back at you.
But in urban law enforcement, things are very different. The ultimate bullet should allow you to shoot an assailant, ideally without them shooting back. They call it the one-shot stop. But this is a last resort. Police only shoot to save the life of an officer or innocent bystanders. And that usually happens at short range.
The average police shooting in the United States occurs at 10 feet or less.
At that range, wounding is not enough. The officer must instantly stop a perpetrator from firing back.
They'll break into a room, and people there will have arms, and they'll be facing them at 10 or 15 feet, and they'll be shooting back at the policeman. The most effective shot, if it could be made, would be a shot in the head. This would be most likely to incapacitate.
But in the heat of close combat, a head may be moving and hard to hit. So police training says, aim for the body's center of mass. Though sometimes, even that is not enough.
Even the best shot that goes right in the middle of the center of mass and goes through the heart cannot be counted upon to stop that person immediately. A person who has his heart penetrated by a bullet could well keep shooting for 20 seconds.
Because severely injuring a person's heart does not stop his brain from thinking until it's finally starved of oxygen. So what bullet is the best for a one-shot stop? That depends on the type of gun. For police work, the handgun is the weapon of choice. Handguns and bullets come in different sizes, measured by the caliber, the diameter of the bullet. This is measured in either American inches or in the European metric system. The 9mm, a German caliber, is 0.35 of an inch in diameter. The .45 is American and 0.45 of an inch in diameter. In law enforcement, both types of weapons are popular. When it comes to the stopping power of handguns, size really does matter.
The difference between the 9mm and the .45, of course, is diameter of the bullet. So the .45 is double the mass of the 9mm bullet.
The bigger the bullet, the bigger the impact, the bigger the hole. But the bullet design is also crucial. Most handgun bullets are either round nose or hollow point. The round nose is a traditional full metal jacket bullet made to create a bigger hole in the target. The hollow point has a concave depression cut into the tip designed to fragment into pieces. But which has the greater stopping power? The most effective bullet doesn't just punch right through the target. It creates serious internal damage. Let's take to the shooting range to see how each bullet performs. First, the round nose bullet. The round nose penetrates the target and goes right through, leaving a clean exit hole. If this was a bad guy, he'd probably still be firing at the police officer. Next, a hollow point bullet. Watch the container on the left. The bullet totally destroys the target. On the streets, a hollow point gives the officer more chance of stopping the criminal with one shot. The hollow point expands on impact to almost 3 times its size. The expanding effect means that the bullet dumps its power inside the body, damaging more tissue than a normal round-nose bullet.
The hollow point is commonly used as an anti-personnel round. It's designed to damage more tissue by opening up similar to a flower, so it has a larger wound channel.
A larger wound means a greater chance of hitting an organ, cutting nerves, or severing an artery, and so stopping the target. This is state-of-the-art in hollow point bullet technology. The Ranger Talon. When it hits flesh, it expands, exposing razor-sharp edges that slice through soft tissue. Its efficiency can make it the safest option. Fewer shots need to be fired to stop a target, and less shots fired mean less chance of hitting a bystander. That stopping power makes the hollow point the best handgun bullet. But in close quarter combat, it can't compete with the brute force of a weapon that guarantees the bad guy is unlikely to be firing back. That weapon's the shotgun. It's certainly not the perfect weapon. Its smooth barrel, like a musket, makes it inaccurate over all but the shortest distances. But at close range, it can blow the bad guys away.
The shotgun is the weapon commonly carried by the average uniformed patrol officer in their car. One buckshot cartridge fires 9 pellets at one time, which is roughly the equivalent of being struck by 9 9mm bullets all at the same time.
Unlike a solid bullet, each shotgun cartridge holds multiple lead pellets, which spread out as they leave the barrel.
It's kind of the equivalent of picking up a handful of rocks and throwing them.
Shotgun cartridges can carry many different types of shot. From a round with dozens of lead balls designed to bring down a bird, to a cartridge whose one solid slug can stop the target dead in its tracks. The most common law enforcement cartridge holds buckshot, 9 separate balls. The range demonstrates the shotgun's impact. First, the buckshot into a 2-inch hunk of wood. The wood's no obstacle at all, and the buckshot peppers the water tank behind it. But if you think that's devastating, wait for the slug. Straight through the wood, and the water container is history.
A shotgun slug literally turns the shotgun into a rifle. Proper sighting system on a shotgun, the slug is effective out to 100, 150 yards. It's a very large projectile. In a 12 gauge, you're looking at 1.5 ounces of lead traveling at about 1,250 feet per second. It hits like a sledgehammer.
If the police shoot a shotgun at short range and hit the heart, this person will most likely go down right away, but it'll get the job done, and the gunfight will be over within 15 seconds.
The shotgun and the handgun are the weapons of choice for short-range fighting. But sometimes, law enforcement officials need long-range firepower, and that means the rifle.
The rifle is a very precise weapon. It allows us distance. In law enforcement, we want to create time, distance, and cover. We want to put something between us and the threat. The rifle allows us to do that.
The spiraled grooves in the barrel give a rifle bullet long-range accuracy. In the right hands, it can hit a target that the human eye only sees through the crosshatches of a high-powered telescopic sight. Some rifle bullets are deceptively small, just half the size and 1/4 of the weight of a .45 caliber bullet. but 3 times more powerful because of their speed. The faster the bullet, the more energy it has, and more energy means devastating damage.
Very effective, far more effective than a handgun.
A long-range rifle bullet is as streamlined as possible to cut wind resistance and increase speed. The rifle barrel can withstand greater pressure than a handgun, so bullets contain more powder for a bigger explosion. Take a look. The handgun powder burns away quickly, but the rifle powder burns a lot longer. This longer-lasting explosion gives much more energy to the rifle bullet. The final factor is the length of the barrel. The bullet spends more time inside a longer barrel and picks up more energy. More energy, more speed. More speed, much greater power. Power is the rifle's great asset, but that long barrel is a great disadvantage, especially when lawmen need surprise on their side. Dan Severn of the College Station SWAT team in Texas.
The length of the weapon makes it a little difficult when we're searching a house. We don't want to give the bad guy notice that we're coming because 16 inches of rifle barrel is sticking around the corner before we can see the bad guy. So the shorter weapon gives us the ability to put our eyes on the target at the same time the weapon comes on the target.
A short barrel is the best tactical choice in close urban combat. But in a war zone, it's very different. For 40 years, the U.S. military has used the 5.56 cartridge with the M16 rifle as its weapon platform. It has proved itself a winning combination of speed and power with an effective range of 900 to 3,000 feet. But even it can't stop a truck with one shot. This weapon can. This is the .50 caliber rifle. The bullet's size and its explosive charge, twice as big as a bullet from the M16, makes this one of the most powerful rifles today. It's handheld artillery, and so powerful that from 1.5 miles away, it hits with 9 times more energy than the wallop of a .44 Magnum fired at point-blank range. So what can these monster bullets do? From 50 yards away, the .50 caliber bullet smashes through 3 tanks. This round will penetrate 1 inch of armor plating from a distance of 200 yards. If the .50 caliber hits your torso or head, you'd be dead. We have bullets of nearly every size and design. But how do bullets perform their deadly task? What's the science of a bullet's impact on a human body? So far, we've seen the tremendous stopping power of the hollow point bullet, the devastating short-range brute force of the shotgun, and the astounding capabilities of the high-powered rifle round. Most bullets are designed to stop a human, creating the most devastating wound possible. So what kind of ammo does what kind of damage to the human body? To see how bullets injure bodies, we employ the science of wound ballistics. A bullet striking the human body causes 2 main types of damage. Handgun bullets, traveling at lower speeds, will create what is called crushing injury. The bullet punctures the skin, crushing the tissue and creating a wound channel as the bullet tunnels through the body.
If you took a small cube of a piece of steak put it on an anvil and pounded it with a heavy hammer. You would have a mushy liquid tissue. That's what tissue becomes from the crush mechanism.
By projecting pictures of actual wound paths onto a human body, Dr. Fackler pinpoints exactly what damage bullets cause. A .45 round-nosed bullet fired from a handgun creates this wound. It penetrates deeply, but leaves minimal crushed tissue in its wake. Switch to a hollow point from the same handgun, and the wound is very different. It hasn't penetrated as far, but has dumped all its energy in the body. There's far more tissue destruction.
You can see the marked contrast in the size of the hole because the bullet has mushroomed and doubled its diameter.
Handgun bullets travel at about the speed of sound. Rifle bullets up to 3 times faster. And that means more damage on the receiving end, and more work for trauma surgeons like Dr. Wang.
A single shot to the arm by a high-velocity bullet will means the bone will be broken to the point where often require amputation to salvage the arm, salvage the life of the victim itself. Handgun, it just passes through and usually just a little bit of muscle tear.
A rifle bullet packs so much force that it can kill without piercing flesh.
Even with the correct protected headgear, just a glancing blow by a high-velocity bullet can lead to coma and death.
The rifle bullet creates a devastating type of wound. This is called a temporary cavity.
It's the same thing as dropping a stone into a pool of water. You see a temporary splash. We have what we call the temporary cavity, which is nothing more than a splash in tissue.
On impact, the splash creates a hollow space 30 times the size of the bullet.
The M16 rifle bullet diameter about like this, .30 caliber 7.62 rifle bullet diameter about like that, more like the size of a basketball.
And the pressure around that hollow space wreaks havoc. Humans are mostly water encased in skin. When a bullet hits a body, the pressure increase around the wound can burst internal organs like a balloon filled with water.
The liver, the spleen, the kidneys are pretty, in some sense, they're like tofu. So it fractures quite easily.
When major organs hemorrhage, survival chances plummet. Each rifle round wounds in a different way. The Russian AK-47 is the most common assault rifle in the world. It fires the 7.62 millimeter bullet. When this bullet enters into the body, it tumbles over or yaws. As it tumbles, it travels sideways, crushing or tearing even more tissue. The 5.56 millimeter round, fired from the M16 rifle, is the standard U.S. military cartridge, used from Vietnam to the present day. It wounds very differently.
Here we have a wound profile of the M16 of the kind that we used in Vietnam. And as you can see, the bullet comes in and doesn't yaw until it gets about 4 inches. But when it does yaw, the bullet fragments.
The fragments spread, causing multiple wounds as the pieces rip through the body. Take it up another level. A close-up blast from a shotgun loaded with buckshot. It tears the body apart.
What this shows is that they would almost all be contained in the chest. Each one of these buckshot makes a separate path through tissue, and all the paths are very close to one another, and they just sort of make hamburger of the tissue. I don't think a wound of this type would be survivable.
Soldiers and police officers regularly face these weapons. So how do they protect themselves? The answer is body armor. There are two types of modern body armor, hard and soft. Designers developed hard body armor to deflect the enormous power of a rifle round. It consists of thick ceramic or metal plates and works like a medieval suit of armor. The armor absorbs the energy of most bullets. In law enforcement, soft body armor is designed mainly to stop a handgun bullet. It's flexible protection, worn like a jacket, that allows more movement than hard armor. Armored clothing stops a bullet by working like a very strong net. Think of a soccer goal. The net is made up of interlinking lengths of string. When a player kicks the soccer ball towards the goal, it carries energy, like a bullet round. When the ball hits the net, it pushes into the strings. Each string pulls others within the web, spreading the impact over a wide area, making the entire net absorb the ball's energy. A soft bulletproof vest absorbs energy the same way. The vests are woven from Kevlar. Kevlar is lightweight, but pound for pound is 5 times stronger than steel. Weave it into a dense net, and you get massive energy-absorbing results.
An officer wearing soft body armor who is shot generally suffers some kind of bruising or some contusion behind the vest because of the amount of energy generated, but it's dissipated.
Here's how it works in the real world. First, the soft armor. From short range, Grissom fires a 9mm, a .45 caliber bullet, then a shotgun loaded with buckshot. The vest's outer layer stops both the .45 and the 9mm bullets, and one of the shotgun pellets. The other 8 shotgun pellets lodged in the inner layers of the vest. The soft armor stopped everything that was thrown at it. But it wouldn't stop a rifle round. For that, we need the hard ceramic plate armor. Grissom fires a 7.62mm sniper's round at short range. This bullet is 5 times more powerful than the .45 round.
You'll see the rifle round strike, and you'll see the ceramic separated.
The outer ceramic has taken the brunt of the force, the bullet lodging in the metal back plate.
You can see the pieces of ceramic. This is what's left of the bullet.
But the bullet has not penetrated the armor. Soft armor works for handguns and shotguns, and hard armor for rifles. It's all part of understanding the behavior of bullets, and that can help solve crimes and even put a killer on death row. A bar in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A crime was committed here. And this is the man who used the science of bullets to put a killer in jail. Blaze Career is a detective with the Mobile Crime Unit of Pittsburgh City Police.
We respond to homicides, robberies, burglaries, and our main function is to respond to felony incidents and do the physical or forensic portion of the investigation.
The following story is based on the police records of the actual crime. It's June 2004 at a neighborhood bar. An argument between a man and a young woman is spiraling out of control. Furious, she leaves and calls her boyfriend. Minutes later, the boyfriend speeds up in his car and fires shots into the bar, killing the man. By the time Detective Career arrives, police have caught the boyfriend. He's admitted firing several shots into the bar in anger from a moving car. That would make it a drive-by crime, not intentional murder. Third-degree murder, with at most a 20-year sentence. But detectives suspect he's lying. If they can prove he stopped his car, he faces murder 1 and a possible death sentence. Only ballistics can prove what really happened. Firing a gun from a moving car creates bullet flight paths from several different angles. The forensic evidence may lead Career to the truth, but first, he has to find the bullets.
We determined that 4 shots had been fired at the bar. 2 were lodged in the front door area of the bar. 1 round lodged in the far wall of the kitchen. And the 4th round had shot our victim in the head.
Using ballistic rods and lasers, Career recreates the bullet trajectories and determines where they were fired.
We had 3 holes that we could work with to run our rods. This really gave us a good, accurate depiction of where the bullets came from.
As he works on, tracing the bullet paths backwards, the truth emerges. The bullet trajectories all originated from the same place.
All indications were the shots were fired from a stopped location.
This was not a drive-by shooting. Career's investigations prove that the perpetrator was lying. He had stopped his car and aimed at the victim. This was a premeditated killing. Murder 1.
That showed that he fired at our victim, and it was an intended incident. He was convicted of first-degree murder, which is the death penalty in the state of Pennsylvania.
In America today, there are nearly 200 million guns. Worldwide, that figure rises to more than 630 million. It's not just the police who have the best firepower. The bad guys have big guns too.
Every day we're seeing more and more firepower on the other side. Bigger weapons are out there, so they're easy to get. They often change hands. They'll be traded for drugs, will be traded for other weapons.
And that means a constant arms race between criminals and the police, with casualties on both sides.
Unfortunately, we do have fatalities. The best defenses we have are to get them off the streets. When a large weapon is out there and we know it and it's being used in multiple incidents, we're tracking that gun as hard as we can to try and get to it as quickly as we can.
Studying bullets gives the police another method of solving crime. The firearms lab examines every gun seized at a crime scene. Tests determine if it's been used in any previous crime. Because as anyone who has ever watched a TV crime show knows, the act of firing a bullet makes that bullet unique. British police officer Henry Goddard discovered the phenomenon in 1835. The science is now known as bullet forensics, or bullet matching. The techniques are simple but effective. They can match any bullet, or even a bullet fragment, to the gun that fired it. Dents from the firing pin and scratches caused by the gun's rifling are as distinctive and individual as a person's signature or fingerprint. Michelle Kuener is an experienced examiner at the Pittsburgh Firearms Unit. Her team fires every gun seized by the police into a water tank and examines the bullets. She places 2 bullets onto a special microscope called a comparison microscope for close-up inspection.
These are actually two microscopes, two lenses. So that allows us to look at two images and manipulate them separately, but look at them side by side.
The technology hasn't changed much since the 1920s, when firearms examiners started using comparison microscopes. Here you see one bullet under the microscope. Increasing the magnification reveals the striations or scratches, the individual marks that ID a bullet. By moving the dividing line, Kuener can examine both bullets. This is not a match. But when she rotates the bullet, the two patterns fall into place. Now, it's a match. But sometimes police only recover a small bullet fragment at the scene, or from the victim's body. Even then, she can still make a match.
You can have as small as, the width of a pinhead. There's a potential that you can make identification from that.
In the past decade, technology has created automated bullet matching workstations that meld traditional comparison microscopes with high-powered computers. The result is IBIS, a system that can help solve crimes by choosing potential matches not in days, but in seconds. But so far, technology hasn't been able to completely replace the experienced eye of a forensic examiner.
Still, it takes the examiner to make the final call. It takes lots of practice, lots of looking at things that don't match, and just sitting there and hours at the microscope. And so are eyes.
Looking to the future, we find guns that shoot around corners and a system that can fire a staggering 1 million rounds per minute. And a smart bullet that can steer itself in flight and hit its target every time. This is the next generation infantry weapon, the XM8. It's the new assault rifle for the U.S. Army. It fires the .556 caliber bullet, the same as the M16 assault rifle it replaced. But it has been designed for many different roles. It fires 10, 30, or 100 round magazines. Fit it with a grenade launcher, and it upgrades to 40mm rounds. The rifle, built of polymer, is 20% lighter than existing weapons. It's extremely reliable. Bury it in sand or drop it in water, and you can still fire it. It's the weapon of war for the 21st century. One thing it can't do is fire around corners. But this gun does exactly that. This is the only weapon allowing the shooter to stay safe around a corner and out of sight of a target. The gun swivels in the middle, enabling the gun to see and fire with no risk to the shooter. The pistol and a video camera are at the front, while a screen at the back of the gun lets the user see what's lurking around the corner. The gun barrel camera can focus on targets up to 400 yards away and can be used with any military pistol, M16 rifle, or tear gas launcher. The round-the-corner gun will keep you out of the line of fire, but sometimes you need the shock and awe that only comes from overwhelming firepower. The fastest weapon today gives you just that. The mechanical Gatling guns fire 6,000 rounds per minute. That's 10 times the rate of infantry rifles on full automatic. But the future offers far faster rates of fire. A new ballistic technology capable of firing 1 million rounds per minute. The Australian company Metal Storm has developed the world's first electronic gun that can fire an astonishing 16,000 rounds a second. It has the firepower to shred a truck in a blink of an eye or throw up a defensive wall of lead against an incoming missile. Unlike a normal weapons firing system, the firing mechanism has no moving parts and no cartridges. Instead, it fires the bullets with electrical impulses. The firing pod consists of multiple barrels preloaded with bullets that can be of small caliber. It fires bullets either one by one, in simultaneous waves, or in one instantaneous burst. It's a system designed for multi-use on land or in the air. It can be programmed to attack one target or multiple targets. The onboard computer, using radar and GPS, tracks the landscape for the target with pinpoint accuracy. If this is the weapons system of the future, what's the next generation bullet? Since its early days, the bullet has been a hunk of lead, relying on the skill of the shooter to hit its target. But this ammo could change everything. It's a smart bullet and could make all other bullets obsolete. Although still at the research stage, it will steer itself in flight like a miniature cruise missile, hitting its target every time.
The basic philosophy behind the guided munitions is to save human lives.
Aerospace engineer Ron Barrett has spent 15 years developing the Smart Bullet.
Smart bullet technology is intended to hit targets at typically extended ranges with a great deal of accuracy. One shot, one kill.
A laser guides the bullet towards the target.
If the target moves as the bullet is being fired, then the laser beam can track the target.
Even over short range, the bullet can adjust its flight to hit a moving target.
This type of bullet has movable fins in the back, and these types of fins guide the bullet.
The fins work like an airplane's rudder, constantly correcting the trajectory. Smart bullets can even shoot down other bullets. This bullet is an anti-bullet bullet, designed to shoot down incoming enemy rounds.
In the nose of the bullet, there's a small charge, and this charge is so powerful that it can actually stop the entire bullet in flight.
Radar spots and tracks incoming hostile rounds. The computer sends a signal to the launcher pod, firing smart bullets to intercept the speeding target.
The counter munition is fired, and as the counter munition gets very close to the hostile munition, it is detonated, and it causes the hostile munition to tumble out of control. It's very much a David and Goliath type of scene. Most of the targets that this type of round is intended to engage are other types of bullets coming from machine guns, an AK-47, or rocket-propelled grenades, or mortars.
This system can protect a Humvee or even a town.
The basic concept of this type of counter munition system is to create sort of an umbrella of safety. And the umbrella of safety could protect civilian populations, it could protect law enforcement agents, peacekeepers, or friendly soldiers.
For centuries, bullets have been designed to kill people. From simple lead balls to the full metal jacket to the deadly stopping power of the Ranger Talon. But now comes a bullet designed to kill bullets, a bullet designed to save lives. If smart bullet technology is proved to work, it could be the answer to our question. This could be the ultimate bullet.